How can one prepare himself or herself to succeed at professional and personal front?
Okay, let me stick to industry which I have been part of for the last nearly 20 years, which is consulting. If you want to pursue a career in consulting and you want to do good in consulting, then other than the other first three, four things that I mentioned in earlier, in terms of being hardworking, committed, knowledgeable, etc., you also need to have analytical skills. You need to be proactive. You need to have passion for knowledge, especially in a consulting environment. I'll give you my own example. When I passed out of IIT and became an engineer, I was so-called metallurgical material science engineer. I was in telcos, again back to hardcore engineering. And I was very clear, I don't want to sell soaps and shampoos, as I said. But when I joined a consulting company, luckily for me, my first consulting assignment was for a steel company. At that point in time, SR Steel was just setting up base in India, and they had hired AFF to do a techno-economic feasibility study, and I was part of the team. I had actually started working on it even before I passed out as a sort of internship kind of thing. Once I had got placed in the fourth semester, I started working half-time, part-time kind of thing. So for me, it was a perfect fit between what my engineering knowledge was and the commercial knowledge I had learned as marketing, etc. But after that project, after 2-3 months, very strangely, and that's how the beauty of consulting it is I got put on a project on cigarettes. Now I'm not a smoker, so I don't know much about cigarettes. But there could have been two things. One is I could have taken a view that, hey, I'm a metallurgical material science engineer, I'm a marketing person, I don't smoke, and what this cigarette business has to do with what I have learned. Fortunately for me, I didn't take that view. The other way of looking at it is that before I started working on this cigarette assignment, I didn't know much about cigarettes other than seeing friends and family kind of smoking here and there. But at the end of the assignment, I knew so much about cigarettes as an industry, not just from a product, but from a distribution. Although I shied away from FMCG, cigarette is an FMCG product, so there's a lot to learn from FMCG distribution, pricing, regulatory, taxation. Cigarette is one of the most taxed products then as well as now, including the recent budget. So there was so much to learn. So if I had that, thankfully I had that passion to know, and therefore it sort of helped me survive and grow. I always give this example that at that point in time, Economic Times was a pink paper. As an engineer, I didn't understand anything that was printed in Economic Times. It was just a pink paper. I could read the English, but I couldn't understand that English. There was hardly any internet at that point in time, so it was always Economic Times and Business Standard and some printed magazines here and there for our knowledge. And slowly but surely, once I started doing the steel assignment, I started reading ET, and whatever came up as part of steel at that point in time, there was no Google. There was just, we used to go to the photocopying machine, get it photocopied and file in a secondary research kind of thing. So I took some time to read Economic Times every day as part of my job. It was nice to go to office and open the paper and say it's part of my job. But and then when it came to cigarettes, luckily for me again, that's again the passion for knowledge. I obviously started looking for news related to cigarette and FMCG and distribution. But luckily for me, I did not stop looking for steel. So I took more time to read Economic Times. So from steel to cigarettes, and the story would go on. So eventually it took me nearly an hour and a half to complete reading Economic Times and the likes, cover to cover, because there was so much I wanted to know, so much that was relevant for what I was doing. So that is what would make you big.